Hello, my name is Thomas Daniel Ince, and today I'll be reviewing and analysing Marina and the Diamonds' Electra Heart album from 2012. And I've have a few notes, but I'll be speaking from the heart about what this album means to me, and what I how I've reflected on that from the album is like sort of like a playlist of my teen years and sort of a anthem for um, the sad teen years I was spending the being online and being being internet addicted and being on Twitter and Tumblr, and it really was part of a collective uh, tribe of people that were interested in the same sort of music, and it really had a home on Twitter and Tumblr back in 2012 and the following years. And I didn't really fit in my town, and I listened to a lot of music to get through um, the sort of the hardships, and I dealt with alcoholism, and I went through my parents' divorce at a similar time. So I was between the ages of 16 to 17, and so that was all new. And I did what Electra Heart did, and I bleached my hair, and I pretended I didn't have uh, any problems, no issues, and I got on with my life. And this album is the soundtrack. That's what the words I was trying to say earlier. It's the soundtrack to my teen years, and it feels very much reminiscent of that time. And I still love it to this day. I still play it to this day, and it is the soundtrack to my youth and to a lot of people's youth. And I feel like um, a lot of people will agree with me. Um, beginning of, I'm gonna list all the music and then talk about each of the songs. So first, I want to talk about the album's art cover, and it's a portrait of Marina, a face portrait, and she's got her hair in rollers, and it's reminiscent of the 40s and 50s, with a heart drawn on her cheek in black eyeliner, and she's got red lips, and the font is sort of a throwback to, and the imagery and the fun is all a throwback to the past. And I will be mentioning this throughout the video. Bubblegum Bitch has a line in it. It has a 90s feel, and um, it's the most heaviest song on the album, and it has a line in it that really stuck with me. It's "Oh dear diary, I met a boy. He made my dull heart light up with joy. Oh dear diary, we fell apart. Welcome to the life of Electra Heart." And then that really stuck with me when I was uh, 16, 17, and I really liked that lyric, and I always felt like that was like part of my love life as well. It was interesting that Marina had written that, and I felt that, and a lot of people feel that way. That you know, you're sad about being alone, and then you meet someone who lights you up, but the minute that they go, that um, you there's something missing, and they've gone now, and that one chance of love that you've had come by, especially if you're uh, part of the Lonely Hearts Club, um, that they don't come around very often. Um, and I did meet someone at this time. I actually met them um, at a Marina and Diamonds gig, and he didn't treat me very well, and it always stuck with me, that lyric, because life imitates art, and I met someone and he didn't treat me very well, and we fell apart. And the line, "I'm gonna be your bubblegum bitch," just gets stuck in your head, doesn't it? So prima donna. So prima donna starts with prima donna girl. Yeah, all I ever wanted was the world. I can't help that I need it all. The prima donna life, the rise and fall. And for me, this is very much like my teenage years of feeling up one minute and down the next, and how life can take you um, by the wheel, and just you experience one thing that goes up, and then the next thing that brings you down, and you don't need to be a prima donna to experience that. But I like the imagery of the prima donna, because the prima donna says that shouldn't happen, and it could happen to other people, but it shouldn't happen to her or him. And I like that. I like that. I like the idea and the imagery behind someone saying, um, "I want the good life, and I want good things to happen to me." So the next line that really sticks with me is "Beauty queen on a silver screen, living life like I'm in a dream." And for me, my mom was a part-time model, and and worked the other half of her, in a normal job, and she, to me, was the most beautiful woman to exist, and I have always looked up to my mom, and loved seeing videos of her at catwalk shows, and doing charity fashion shows, and seeing photos of her in her modelling years. And I've always liked the imagery of that Marina uses in this album, that reminds me of the women in my life, and how we really do base a lot of uh, a lot on how we look, and um, that's something that really sticks with me. We base a lot of things based on how we look, and instead of some of the qualities that, you know what I'm trying to say. But that line, to me, really, I really like that line, because it reminds me of my mum. I should say that you can be beautiful and have good qualities, but the prima donna uh, doesn't seem to have the good qualities, and she admits it in this song. And the next line that really stuck with me is, "And I'm sad to the core, core, core. Every day is a chore, chore, chore." And then following that is, when you give, I want more, more, more. I want to be adored." And I remember being at 16, 17, and when this song came out, and I really resonated with this feeling of every day feels exactly the same, and I'm sad, and I'm sad every day. And eventually, as I got older, I said to myself, if you're sad every day, you can, and every day feels the same, you can choose to be happy and live happily, and then live happily every day. But when I was younger, I didn't have that thinking. So um, I really was um, sad, and I was sad every day. And I really like this line, because it says, it paints a picture um, of a really depressed person, um, in a really beautiful way. I really like the line, "You say that I'm kind of difficult, but it's always someone else's fault." Because, yeah, it is easier to blame other people than, than to deal with things yourself, like like in anything, in like a job, in family, in friendships, in a love relationship. It's easy just to blame the other person than to admit that, that you're unhappy, or you're the one that needs to change. Not that you should change every time, or you're unhappy every time, and it might not be you. But I just like that line because it says, um, that we're quick to think that it's someone else rather than looking in. And looking in, you'll usually find the answer. Now, I really like the line, "Fill up the void with celluloid, take a picture, I'm with the boys." I like this line because, um, I like photography, and I used to take lots of photos on a Polaroid camera, and which I still use today, but I haven't done in some time. But I definitely, around this time, I was trying photography, and further developed a photography as a skill years later on. So this line um, feels very. I mean, fill up the void with celluloid. Like, take pictures, because I'm empty, I'm sad, and I need something to fill me up. Um, and to create with the boys. She's saying that, she's spending a lot of time with men, or lots of boys. Um, that wasn't really the case for me, but I like that line. The next line that I like is, um, "Living life like I'm in a play, in the limelight I want to stay." For me, I've always enjoyed theatre, and so ever since I was young, and it was something that I was going to go into at around the age um, of, of this of this time. But a teacher really put me off, and dissuaded me from doing performing, whether that was acting or anything else. And it really stuck with me, and it really changed the directory of my life, and I went into other things. But sometimes I wish that I hadn't listened, because I would find it interesting to see where my life would have been if I had done acting at a drama school, for example, which was originally what I was going to do. But you never really know. But I really like that line, "Living life like I'm in a play, in the limelight I want to stay." It's all about being number one, and being the main character of your life, and yeah, like the sadness of, being an actor, of, you know uh being on these different people, yet you're unhappy with yourself, and that's why you um are surrounding yourself with all these things. And lastly, I watched the music video over and over again because I loved it. It's one of my favorite videos, um, the Prima Donna music video, because um, uh, the visuals, the imagery, the way that she's dressed, her hair and makeup. Um, she's really beautiful in it, and she is a beautiful uh, artist and human and person. But she looks great in this video, and I like that it's shot at night time um, with either heavy head lighting, um, and I love the TV screens, and it sort of reminds me of um, sort of a lot of the visuals remind me of, and I'll talk about this later on, but they actually remind me of sort of my grandparents um, how I imagined their lives were. And it's something that I would like to talk about more in another video I'm going to make, which is all about Electra Heart as um, her Tumblr and her photography, because a lot of it reminds me, especially of the suburban housewife, reminds me of suburbia and the neighborhood where my grandparents lived, and how I connect the two together, because the archetypes, which was Marina was channeling through this album, uh, she really wanted to speak to a wide audience. And so through photography, film, and music, she created this character called Electra Heart, who embodied a lot of different types of people, from the suburban housewife to the youth, teen idol, um, and I felt like she was channeling some of her own sort of um, version of her, like her own character's sort of life in a way, but through her own experiences. And so that makes you connect with a person when they're sharing themselves that way. And I've always liked um, looking at the photography, and that's something that I'm going to discuss in another video. But yeah, the visuals for me are a really important part of putting a song to a mood. And there's a bit in the video where she's looking out the car window, and I think there's the car going through a car wash, and she looks like she's just thinking about her life, and it's really nice to capture that moment, because we all have moments like that where our life feels cinematic, and this music video is very cinematic, and I like that quality. Now, Lies was a song that me and a boy that I really liked that lived in London, that I used to talk to almost every day. Um, and I'm from the UK as well, but from a northern part of the UK, and I liked this boy very much. And when we started to separate from each other, he sent me this song as a goodbye, in a way. So this song means a lot to me in a way. It starts with "You're never gonna love me, so what's the use?" Um, so that was sort of the end of the friendship relationship that we had, and yeah, the song reminds me every time. It starts with that lyric, and then it continues with "What's the point in playing a game you're gonna lose?" Um, so yeah, what's the point of even trying to have a relationship? What's the point of even wanting a relationship, because it's never going to happen between us anyway. And then it carries on with, "What's the point in saying you love me like a friend?" Someone that doesn't really want a relationship, or anything more than a relationship. um, and then it ends with, "What's the point in saying it's never going to end?" So yeah, it's sad, and I relate to it a lot. It continues with, "You're too proud to say that you made a mistake. You're a coward to the end." And I love that line, because it gives the listener so much power in when they sing that line, because there's anger behind it, that someone wasn't very loving or warm, or kind of like the couple that you imagined them to be. Um, that the relationship was a mistake, like the friendship was a mistake. Um, and that's really sad. I wouldn't like to know if that's what he thought. But you know, I'll never know, and I don't want to know. But to me, sometimes I do think that, you know, that it was all a mistake. But it's everything's a learning curve, and you have to take these things in life experiences with you. I like that it continues with, I don't want to admit that we're not going to fit. No, I'm not the type that you like. Why don't we just pretend? Because yeah, there's a bit of that desperation of where you've already like imagined the being together. So why can we not be together? You know, and I relate to that a lot. You know, in past relationships that I've had with people, where I thought that maybe we would become more intimate or more uh, as a couple, and then they've not reciprocated. And then it continues with, don't want to know, don't want to know, I can't let you go, can't let you go. Um, yeah, so you're not being able to let go of people in the past, which is something that I think a lot of people relate to. Again, it continues with, I just want it to be perfect to believe it's all been worth the fight. And relationships are fights, you know, they are, and people just want things to go their way, and I can see why Marina wrote that. And the next thing that really is striking is, you only ever touch me in the dark, only if we're drinking can you see my spark. And yeah, I won't go into that very much, but there's that's a line that really speaks to me a lot. And yet it continues with, and only in the evening could you give yourself to me, because the night is your woman and she'll set you free. So it's about how someone couldn't be there for her emotionally during the day, and was only interested in her perhaps more intimately at the night time. And, you know, sometimes relationships end up being too one-sided and too, you know, sexual, or um, you know, too alcohol based, and um, people would get weird addictions to things, and and then sometimes things fall apart, or sometimes people stay together. Um, I've experienced more things falling apart, but that's just my experience. The music video starts in black and white, and then it goes to more color later on, and it's very um, narrative driven, in terms of it follows Marina singing the song in various different locations. It's very simple. But my favorite bit is the sort of tea party rain. You know, that's that pathetic fallacy of the rain symbolizing a sadness, and I think that's something that a lot of people have watched and thought, yeah, I know that feeling. She captured it really well. And there's also a bit where she goes into a forest and she disappears behind a tree, and then she's not seen, and that's you know, that's another feeling of just wanting to just disappear. You know, especially after a relationship hasn't gone the way that you've wanted it to. That feeling of, well, now I just want to disappear from the world and become reclusive, and want to go into a forest and disappear forever. Okay, next is Homewrecker, and it starts with, every boyfriend is the one until otherwise proven. The good are never easy, the easy never good, and love it never happens like you think it really should. And I find that really insightful, really. Um, love never happens like you think it really should. Like the way way that is sang, um, it speaks. It's simple enough to understand that every relationship that you have has the potential to fall apart at any moment, and that fear can hold people together. Every relationship that you're in, the only reason that you're in there is because you think that that person is the one for you. Um, until there's something that they do or something you do to prove that that relationship isn't right. Um, and then it continues with deception and perfection are wonderful traits. One will breed love, the other hate. You'll find me in the lonely hearts. Under I'm after a brand new start. Again, lonely hearts, reference, I think it was inspired by the Beatles, but it's a reference to being a single person and being on their own. And she finds empowerment through that. So I always liked listening to this song and found empowerment. I mean, it carries on with, and I don't belong to anyone. And um, I've spent many years by myself, and I still relate to this song um, quite a bit. And there was someone that in my life that used to um, reference me this song. The person that I met at the Marina gig, and I always wondered what he meant by that. But let me know what you think. Girls and their curls and their gourmet vomit, boys and their toys and their 6-inch rockets. Well, we all know what that means, the second bit at least, but um, we're all very lovely till we get to know each other as we start becoming friends and start becoming lovers. And it's that thing of like being at 16, 17 and all your friends wanting to date the other sex or the same sex, depending on who they're interested in. But I remember all my girlfriends at school, like girls who I was friends with, they all were starting to be interested in boys, and then I noticed how much the boys were starting to be interested in the girls, and I lost a lot of friends because people were just wanting to date, and they didn't really care about having friendships anymore. Um, and so people, when they start becoming a certain age, it's for me that line really spoke to me throughout my sort of uh, school years and sixth form years. I mean, that person might have just assumed that I was going to break his heart. So instead of saying, I'm not interested in you anymore, he called me a homewrecker because I break a million hearts just for fun. Not that I would, but he found somebody else. And so I always thought that was ironic because um, I fell back into the Lonely Hearts Club. But yeah, that's a tale for another day. Another line that I like is, I guess you could say that my life's a mess, but I'm still looking pretty in this dress. I'm the image of deception, because I really like that imagery of um, she doesn't feel good about herself, but yet she still looks pretty good, and looking good is better than letting other people think that you're depressed or sad or going through a hard time. At least that's how it reads as a listener, um, which I love because that's basically adolescence, isn't it? It's basically knowing, you don't want people to talk about you, and you don't want people to say that they're going through a hard time, so you um, keep it to yourself and you present that you look really good on like a night out or at a party. Um, which is where I was going to. I was going to a lot of parties and a lot of um, sort of social gatherings at this time. And then it goes quite dramatic. It says, when everything is life and death, you may feel like there's nothing left. Instead of love and trust and laughter, what you get is happy never after. But deep down, all you want is love, the pure kind we all dream of. But we cannot escape the past, so you and I will never last. So, very much like everyone wants the same thing, I think, as humans, that we all want to find somebody to love and to be in a couple with. And not everyone gets that happily ever after. And I do find that really interesting. Um, in just just looking at life and thinking about all my relationships that I've been in, um, and the ones that haven't been relationships, and thinking, could we have been together? Would we have been happy? All that sort of things. Because there's not you could be with someone, but you could not, might necessarily not be happy, and it might not have been the love that you deserve or wish to have. Okay, the next song is Starring Role, and it starts with "You're hard to hug, tough to talk to, and I never fall asleep when you're in my bed. All you give me is a heartbeat. I've turned into a statue, and it makes me feel depressed because the only time you open up is when we get undressed." I mean, again, that's another sort of reference to someone being would rather be intimate than to be emotional. Someone that would rather be would rather do something sexual than to actually talk about how they feel, um, which is really interesting to me. You're hard to hug. Someone that doesn't want the intimacy when she's longing for the intimacy, and I really relate to that. And then it continues with, "You don't love me, big fucking deal. I'll never tell you how I feel. You don't love me, not a big deal. I'll never tell you how I feel." And that's to me, a lot of my friendships that I wanted to have relationships have always been one sided. They've always been where, for me, I've wanted more from the other side, and they've not wanted or not reciprocated. And I like that line, because she basically is saying that she has feelings for this person, and they're not interested. It continues with, "It almost feels like a joke to play a part when you're not a starring role in someone else's heart. I'd rather walk alone than play a supporting role if I can't get the starring role." And it's all about being the main character in your life and in someone else's life. And she'd rather be the main character in her own life than play a part in someone else's life that isn't gonna make her number one. And I relate to that a lot, just thinking about how people haven't made me without the effort to put me as number one in their relation, in their as a couple or whatever, or even friendships. Sometimes you think that you have um, a chance with somebody, and they don't make you um, a, a partner, I guess. And it continues with, "Sometimes I ignore you so I feel in control, because really I adore you and I can't leave you alone." I really like that. There's a lot of lyrics in this song that I like, but essentially saying that she's quite obsessed with this person, and um, that she adores him, but she does play some games to feel in control. And these are all things that I think people relate to. And then it continues with, "Come on, baby, let's just get drunk, forget we don't get on. You're like my dad, you'd get on well. I send my best regards from hell. You know, like, you know, dads are important, and they're our father figures, um, and we do date people who remind us of our parents. I mean, next is the state of dreaming, where Marina sings, "I live my life inside a dream, only waking when I sleep." Um, I used to suffer with terrible insomnia, and I used to spend days off where I would just sleep like the days away, and so that line really reminds me of my teenage years of struggling to sleep during the night and stay awake during the day, and feeling like I'm just sleeping the day away, or even just daydreaming the day away, with the fantasies of a relationship, but that is never going to happen. It continues with, "My life is a play, is a play. Um, yeah, I've been living in a state of dreaming, living in a make believe land, living in a state of dreaming, of dreaming, of dreaming." Um, yeah, it just continues with um, that feeling of daydreaming about love, and how it maybe doesn't match up with the fantasy that she has or I have. That's how I relate to it a lot. And then it carries on with, "All I want is to be wonderful. People in this town, they can be so cruel." I really struggled to find work when I was 16, 17, as a lot of young people do. And I didn't really fit in my small town. There wasn't a gay scene, there wasn't a queer scene, and there isn't really a lot of places for young people to go. And so, I stayed in a lot, and I sat on Twitter and I sat on Tumblr, and that was sort of, that felt like home to me. Was being online, and I found friends through there, which it sounds um, to some people it's quite strange, but you don't always have to be in the same place to make friendships. You can meet people over the internet in a really safe, and um, there's a lot of people that you can meet online who are real, and but sometimes relationships don't work out the way that you want them to. And then it carries on further down in the song. "If you only knew, my dear, how I live my life in fear. If you only knew, my dear, how I know my time is near." That's about, for me, how you spend like most of your youth are scared of things. So you're scared of doing things, or scared of people, or scared of just scared of having experiences, um, and not wanting to, you know, be like everyone else, or you know just being scared of things in life. I might explain that more in the future, but um like as I got older, I had a bit of a fear of going out, but agoraphobia and stuff. But when I was younger, I was quite reclusive, and um yeah, I didn't really want to spend much time with people, um and I still am like that to this day. Next song is Power and Control. It starts with, "Give a little, get a lot. That's just how you are with love. Give a little, get a lot. Yeah, you may be good looking, but you're not a piece of art." Um, for me, that says a lot about how in relationships you're either giving your love to someone or receiving the love from someone. And that could be a partner, that could be a sexual relationship, um, that could be just a friendship. It's all about give and take, and the song is all about how someone has either too much power or control over the relationship, and they have the upper hand. And I like elements um, of this song, like women and men, we are the same, but love will always be a game. We give and take a little more, eternal game of tug and war. I mean, you can feel the imagery in that there is a tug of war between men and women um, in relationships, uh, and the differences that we have. Um, um, and then it continues with think you're funny, think you're smart, think you're gonna break my heart. Think you're funny, think you're smart. Yeah, you may be good looking, but you're not a piece of art. Um, it's the way that we put our lovers on a pedestal, or our relationships on, the other person on a pedestal, and we say things to ourselves like, or think to ourselves, this person's gonna is so beautiful that they can't possibly be with me, and and if they break my heart, how am I gonna cope without them? Um, So maybe it's easier just to break up with them first or break up with them quicker. So then they don't hurt me. I like the line, a human vulnerability doesn't mean that I am weak, that I am weak, I am weak, I am weak, etc. Um, I like that Marina uses that in a song, that she says that I sometimes feel vulnerable in a relationship, and that says to me, um, uh, she's quite strong in herself as a songwriter, and um, yeah, I really like that lyric. And then it ends with, "Cause all my life I've been controlled. You can't have peace without a war, without a war, without a war." And yeah, I feel like I relate to that line a lot because with parents and stuff, I've always felt like they've wanted to protect me, and ever since a young age, and felt that um, related to that line of control. Um, I think all people resonate with that feeling of their parents not wanting them to do things, um, but then you go ahead and do it anyway, um, or you abide and listen and conform. The next song is Living Dead, and it carries on. Starts with, "Every day I feel the same, stuck and I can never change." Um, yeah, so it reminds me of some lyrics and other songs that feel like this person can't move on from the things that have happened to her, or that um, that every day does feel the same, and so why should I be happy? Why should I? Um, can I even be happy? Because every day feels the same, so and that just makes me sad. And then it continues with, was it really worth it? Did I really deserve it? It happens when you're hurting and cut me at the surface of my heart, you know. Yeah, like if something really bad happens to you, or a relationship, or for example, do you think like, did I really deserve that pain, that heartache? Was it all really worth it in the end? And or if a relationship stays together, is it all really worth it? And then it carries on with, I'm living dead, 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 only alive, live, live, when I pretend, ten, ten, that I have died, 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 etc. And, as a teen, feeling not really wanting to be here, but at the same time, living life, I really related to this song with the title Living Dead. You only, you kind of like a zombie at that in that state of be, between here and um, not wanting to be here, and I really feel like Marina in this song um, really feels in between um, wanting to be around and not wanting to be around at the same time. I really like the line, I haven't lived life, I haven't lived love, just bird's eye view from the sky above. You know, that's like when you're thinking about life, there's that bird's eye view that you have of your life, of where you see what you're doing and who you're hanging around with and who what your job you're doing and who you spend your time with and how you spend your time, and you start to see your life from a different point of view, and then you make changes from that. So I really like that. Got bubble wrap around my heart, waiting for my life to start, but every day it never comes, permanently at square one. You know, that's someone that's tried and tried and tried and has been defeated again and again and again by either life or by relationships or um and yeah, I really relate to that line. It carries on with, when it's late at night, I'm so dissatisfied. The weight of an empty life will listen in the moonlight, in the light, in the light, in the light. So yeah, it's just she's scared of of living a life that doesn't really mean anything, or so yeah. It continues with, I lay back in a glittering mist, and I think of all the men I could have kissed. And I just like that line of that of be I can remember being in my bedroom thinking about, relationships that never really came to be. Now the next song might be a really hard one to talk about, but it's called Tina Idol, and it reminds me of the years where I drank quite heavily to sort of numb the pain of my parents sort of divorcing and then being a teenager and going to parties a lot and seeing that people were in relationships and I couldn't really find anybody. And I sort of bleached my hair and sort of was inspired by this album to experiment with the way that I looked and sort of feel empowerment through that. That's why I relate to this and love this album so much, because it starts with, I want to be a bottle blonde. I don't know why, but I feel conned. And I really related to that, that idea of you're born with one look and you want to change the way you look. And my mum was a bleach blonde, and my best friend was a bleach blonde. And so um, we all sort of reflect one another. And then it carries on with, I want to be an idle teen. I wish I hadn't been so clean. I don't necessarily relate to that lyric really, but I like the imagery that sings. I want to stay inside all day. I want the world to go away. I want blood, guts, and chocolate cake. I want to be a real fake. Um, yeah, I want to stay inside all day. I agree with that. I just want to stay online and not deal with the fact that I can't get a job and that I can't function as a normal human being. And I have to stay inside and be the antisocial, um, online obsessed young teen that I was. Um, and I want, you know, everything to disappear. And I want to disappear into that. I think that's how I felt at the time, anyway. Yeah, I wish I'd been a teen idol. I wish I'd been a prom queen fighting for the title. I would have loved to have been the prom king or queen. Um, but my school didn't do it that year, which is probably a good thing because there was no people sort of fighting over who was a prom king or queen. Um, and then it continues with, instead of being 16 and burning up a Bible, feeling super, super, super suicidal. And yeah, I think that's something that I relate to a lot. I went to uh, church as a child, but I wouldn't say I'm religious, but I am quite spiritual, and faith has saved me a number of times. But like I said, I'm not. I'm more spiritual than I am religious, and it's going through some of the darkest parts in life and through in the experiences that I've had that have kept me strong and and I've managed to come through the other side. So yeah, at 16, 17, trapped in my bedroom, you know, feeling like I couldn't really make the effort to go anywhere. Yeah, I really relate to that a lot. The wasted years, the wasted youth, the pretty lies, the ugly truth. I mean, they're oxymorons um, of saying that things that are pretty look ugly, and the truths, especially the truths, and the um, I like that line a lot. I mean, it says it what it is. Um, and again, it's all about looking good for other people rather than feeling good about oneself and letting that speak volumes um, for other people to see. And the day has come where I have died, only to find I've come alive. That's like a resurrection or a rebirth that people have in life when they go through dark times and they come out the other side and feel stronger or have more vitality. And I really like that. I really think that's really interesting. I want to be a virgin pure, a 21st century whole. Um, yeah, I won't talk about this very much, but you know, we all meet people and have experiences of people that maybe we shouldn't have or we regret um, having. And then it continues with, I want back my virginity so I can feel infinity. I guess it's the power of, the virgin. The virgin has all the power in a relationship because she gets or he gets to choose when they want to have the sex in that partnership, and you give that sort of present or um, that thing to someone else, and that's a shared experience. Um, and I like that imagery a lot. I want to drink until I ache. I want to make a big mistake. Yes, I've made many mistakes and grown from them, and I've drank because I've been sad, and it never really makes you feel better. It makes you feel better in a short time, but it's never good to overdrink and when you're not feeling good because you just don't feel good about yourself. But I do relate to that lyric, and I think a lot of people do. And it continues with, "I want blood, guts, and angel cake. I'm gonna puke it anyway. I'm gonna throw up anyway. So I might as well eat everything and drink everything that I can find." Um, I think a lot of people relate to that, and you don't even have to have a mental illness, but it does, I think, relate for a lot of people to anorexia, bulimia, or alcoholism, and that it does really capture that sort of feeling of being a teen again and experiencing alcohol for the first time. Oh, I wish I wasn't such a narcissist. I wish I didn't really kiss the mirror when I'm on my own. I never really did this, but um, I guess the next line rings true. Oh God, I'm gonna die alone. Um, that feeling of, oh, no matter what I do, I'm gonna end up by myself. Um, and the sadness that you feel. Um, so you replace that with narcissism. That kissing yourself in the mirror because that's gonna make me feel better for that short period of time before I realize, oh God, I'm gonna be on my own anyway. And then it continues with, adolescence didn't make sense, a little loss of innocence, The ugliness of being a fool ain't youth meant to be beautiful. I love this line, or these few lines, because it really does speak of the teenage experience. Adolescence didn't make sense. A little loss of innocence. That's like, not being the virgin anymore. Um, whether that's sex or alcohol or drugs. The ugliness of being a fool, letting people see um, these sides of you that you don't really want or shouldn't, or in a normal situation, you wouldn't let people see. Ain't youth meant to be beautiful, being young, and being innocent, and but instead young kids are drinking and smoking and um, experiencing relationships, um, and that can be seen as beautiful in a way if you want it to, but a lot of it is ugly, um, like partying, for example, and cheating, and yeah. And then it sort of ends with feeling super, 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 and sort of leaves you to imagine the rest. And it's just a very well written song, and a lot of people relate to it, um, and it's a fan favorite. And then Valley of the Dolls sings with, in the Valley of the Dolls we sleep, got a hole inside of me, and some people feel that they are empty even no matter what they do, um, and I definitely felt this way as a teen. I definitely felt like, oh, I'm sad whether I do things that make me happy or things that don't make me happy. Regardless of what I do, I'm sad. And I just really liked that line. And it continues with born with a void, hard to destroy with love or hope, built with a heart broken from the start. Now I die. Sorry, and now I die slow. Um, I mean, the sad lyrics, and yeah, it can be hard to change your perspective when things don't go your way. And it might take something going right for you to think about that your life might change or good things might happen to you. Um, so that's what this song really means to me. Oh, and I like the line, living with identities that don't belong to me. That feeling of everyone has multiple identities, and there are lots of theories about this. Um, and I really relate to this a lot, where there are lots of sides to a person, and all the things that they do, um, whether they're with someone or not with someone, whether they're working or whether they're not working, whether they're out at a party or driving, or there's all these different sides to people, and then even on a minuscule level, even more, more sides to people, and the little things that they do, and it's like, which side do I show people, and then which side do they like? Because I'm always completely changing who I am when I'm around people, um, and then at the same time, um, but especially in relationships, you only show certain sides, and then when you are together for a lot longer, suddenly you reveal sides to yourself that you didn't have show before, and will they like that person? And yeah, uh, yeah, I relate to that line a lot. And that sort of continues with, in my life I got this far, now I'm ready for the last hurrah, dying like a shooting star in the valley, in the valley, in the valley. Yeah, that feeling of, I'm gonna party for the last time. Um, in and Yeah, and then it continues with, and pick a personality for free when you feel like nobody. Choose one of the personalities that you have, um, hidden away in your box of or box of masks of many different people that you have, and then pick which one, and it relates to the project that Marina did with Electra Heart, with putting on a wig or dyeing your hair a different color for an album era, that way of changing your image because maybe you um, don't feel good on the inside, which is something that I relate to or related to a lot when I was growing up. And again, sort of the imagery with this song, Back to Zero, here we go again, racing down into oblivion, back to zero, here we go. I can feel it coming to the end, to the end. Um, that oblivion being like feeling like the end, like drinking to the to finish what um so yeah, a feeling of nothingness, and it's hidden throughout this song, um that feeling of nothingness, and um it's strong within this song, and there's little snippets here and there which essentially say um, she wants to drink until she doesn't feel anything anymore. Now, Hippocrates was my mum's favorite song because I used to play the album so much that that I uh, my mum had favorites, and we'd always say which one was your favorite. She'd say which one is your favorite this time, um, and but her favorite was always Hippocrates, it's the sweetest song on the album, and it starts with "You are the lonely one and only body in the world, who can break me down into a young girl." And, it's either about singing about a girl and a father, or a girl and her boyfriend who makes her feel like she's a young girl again. And although I'm not a girl, I can relate to this a lot. Um, that feeling of that other person, whether that's a father figure or in a relationship, so it makes you feel like that young child, that loved young child that you were once. You say that love is not that easy, and that lesson that you teach me, so hypocritical, overly cynical. I'm sick and tired of all your preaching. Um, yeah, I like this. I don't really have much to say about it, but I guess that could be it could be in a relationship. It could be things could be taken the wrong way, or things can, you know, the lies, and someone is commenting a lot on something that maybe they don't know much about, and um, so there's so I can kind of see where she's coming from, and then it continues with, "Who are you to tell me who to be, who to be?" Yeah, so then it sort of changes up here where it starts to be a bit more accusational, and um, she finds power through the song to, to stand up for herself. And I really like that. People are always telling you how to dress, and uh, who to be and how to talk. And these are usually our primary givers, people that love us. And yeah, so I can you see my connection between the father figure and the boyfriend. I like the line, "I know you only want to own me, and that's the kind of love you show me. You tell me one thing and do another, keep all your secrets undercover." Someone that wants to have the upper hand, and that's the way that they show their love, is by being in control. And then, but really deep down, they do things that the other person doesn't like. And yeah, I see why that um, uh, there's a connection there for me. Fear and Loathing sings, I've lived a lot of different lives, been different people many times. You know, that's all about for me, all the different times I've dyed my hair and all the different times I've worn something new and tried to be someone different. Uh, Same name, but different look, different identity, different, going to a new workplace, going um, to a new school or a new college, that sort of thing, always creating new identities in oneself. I live my life in bitterness and fill my heart with emptiness, sad about sad and angry about things in life, maybe things not going the way that you planned, and um feeling empty about that. And now I see it for the first time. There is no crime in being kind. Yeah, for the first time in one's life, seeing that being good to someone else um, has its benefits. Not everyone is out to screw you over. Maybe they just want to get to know you. Yeah. So sometimes just you know, um, having your heart on your sleeve sometimes does pay off. Um, and friendships can be made out of um, from anywhere and anyone. The next few lines that I like is got different people inside my head. I wonder which one that they like best. Um, that idea of the multiple identity disorder sort of theory that everyone has different sides to them that I mentioned earlier, and this song has elements of that too. It continues with, I'm done with trying to have it all and ending up with not much at all. That it reminds me of my teenage years of struggling to find work and struggling to keep work and and feeling enthusiastic enough about um, life and just staying happy um, and not feeling like giving up. And then the album ends with Radioactive, and it sings, In the night your heart is full and by morning empty. That feeling of you go to bed and you're feeling low, but um, sorry, yeah, your heart's full of hopeful for tomorrow, but in the morning there's nothing really to get you out of bed, nothing to really wake you, nothing to really excite you. And I relate to that a lot. Well, I related to it when I was a teenager, but yeah, you know what I mean. I like the lines, my heart is nuclear, love is all that I fear, ready to be let down, and now I'm heading for a meltdown. I mean, it's clever wordplay, the idea of being radioactive, being angry, and being really reactive to someone in whether it's a relationship or one on one with somebody else. And um, yeah, just reading the lyrics now, just thinking about how she's kind of expecting to be let down, and she knows it's only gonna end badly. Um, yeah. And that's my analysis of Electra Heart by Marina and the Diamonds. I hope you've enjoyed listening to this. I think it's a 1 hour um, script and voiceover, and I really hope that you enjoyed it and look forward to my future videos on Marina and the Diamonds, and Marina and um, as Marina, and also the videos following about Electra Heart, which I'm going to do shortly. Okay, bye. Love you.